Maybe this is the start of Fabi pressing, and you have to get aggressive against Magnus, right? Wesley sacked a piece against Magnus. That's how you beat him, right? You got to swing at the king and don't miss. So I think putting pressure on Magnus with white. Look at this. I'm liking it.
Danny,
we see the advantage growing here, and Magnus, Daddy's feeling much better now. He was sipping some tea, and he seemed in good spirits. And I think that from an athlete's mindset, right, you're always focusing on a narrative that can get you to perform at your best. And I think Fabi knows he lost, but he lost to Magnus Carlsen, who is known for doing things like that. But objectively,
the evaluation bar rising up slightly. Abdustorov not dead yet, but Magnus, I think he's busted.
Still some life for Nordubek on the right-hand screen, although Wesley is in the driver's seat. But
where did Magnus go wrong? And it looks like the moves are coming in really quickly. Magnus with about a minute on the clock.
2. And normally in these positions, you will not be able to defend passively. Here, there's no active defense either. Look at Magnus's pieces. How sad is this?
And I was just about to say before that game ended that Fabi, he makes the wrong knight jump, that he slowed down. Another queen comes to g5, and this was the idea that we were advocating for.
Wow. There's some counterplay. White is still doing well, but big threat in the position. Black wants to drop a queen into f4 with a check. He retreats.
Queen, as you were saying, with check. Also, the rook now covers that f4 square. So the bishop jumps out for Magnus.
Around the board. He should have just been using his inner vision and trying to plant it on the f6 square, its ideal post. And now it does drop back, but allows the black queen to offer a queen trade. And
decides to keep the queens on the board. He'll have to rely a bit more on calculation, and he doesn't have time for that. He finally takes a decision he should have taken in seconds, grabs that pawn on e5. All right, Fabi, blitz out the move now.
Yeah, there's a big threat. Black's bishop is actually trying to slide back to d6. The white king, white knight are on the same dark square diagonal, so he has to stop it. He does. Brilliant move there from Fabiano Caruana, but again, he's looking a bit slow with his decisions when it's pretty much forced moves. And Magnus creating counterplay. White's b2 pawn is weak. It's going to drop off. It might become a race.
And I see the eval bar give White a big advantage, but I think from a practical perspective, it's not clear to the players. It's going to be a race between Fabi's E center pawn and Magnus's B pawn down the board. He doesn't grab it immediately, comes back with the bishop, threatening a big check on f4, which would have picked up the knight.
And now he's going to grab the pawn. So his bishop was in the rook's line of sight. So gives a check first. But now the white king can just step, I think, forward at any moment here. He's going into the center. So as long as Fabi doesn't walk into any kind of bishop f2 check, which would win the rook, he does have these 2 pawns in the center. So move your rook out the way, start throwing your pawns forward.
Now it's level material. White has 2 connected pass pawns in the center, but they take a while to mobilize. One of them's running up the board now, but Black's B pawn looks like the quickest of all. And, okay, the white rook stops it advancing for now, but the bishop drops back. This one is anyone's game. Yes, the evaluation bar says winning for white, but Magnus, he's saved a far worse position. This feels like the best he's had in a while.
But it is even material if we just count the pawns. But White has 2 unopposed passed pawns in the center. And look at the eval bar. It's sky high. How do you actually stop these pawns? He brings the king out of the pin. The knight now is free to move. And he pushes e5. And now both of the pawns, they're rumbling down the board. One of them is going to become a queen.
For a chance in this match, Fabi has to finish this job. He is so close to a game win, which will put him in a great situation to make a comeback in set 2. And he blunders with the most natural looking check on h4.
Wow, now Black can give a couple of checks from behind, and the white e-pawn was actually dropping. Wow, Magnus even gives a check with a pawn. Stronger, perhaps. He gives another check, and White's pawns are collapsing. Fabiano, has he blown the win?
Oh my gosh. Fabi with the knight moves. It's just all gone wrong, and now Magnus grabs the pawn on e5. White's king can take it, but Black's rook takes the knight. Instead, he's threatening to queen. Magnus comes back with the bishop, defending the d8 square.
And for Fabiano, he needs to be careful not to lose this game at this stage. If somehow he drops that d pawn, that would be a disaster. And Magnus, he's pressing for some winning chances of his own. He's pushing his pawns up the board.
This is so reminiscent of their game 1. Fabi with the white pieces up a queen, lost in the end with the black pieces. With this one as well, he was winning throughout, and now it's him who's fighting for a draw.
Yeah, White is fighting for his life, but White does have a threat. White is threatening a rook check on b5 and then to slide the rook across to d5 to block the black rook. Magnus's king dodges. Fabiano living on the edge here. And, okay, Black sacrifices a rook for the pawn. Can White's rook stop the black pawns? This should now be a draw, I think, but
Barely, because
Magnus is playing for it.
Yeah, Magnus is playing for a win, but white has a check at some moment. So it looks like the black pawns are unstoppable. You push the h pawn off the board, but he gives that check right now. So the black king, it can't go to h2. It's shielded by its own pawn, but the pin along the second rank. And if you go king h1, rook check, and promote, the white king is just in time to scoop up that final black pawn.
It looks like it will be the case, but Magnus makes Fabi sweat. He doesn't go for the direct draw line, as Robert was pointing out, pushes the pawn. But now white's king is in time to pick up the last remaining pawn. And a king versus king. What a fight. Even Fabi can't believe it. Both players with a smile on their face. That was an up and down battle.